Welcome back to After Lunch and the Cyber Workforce Summit. So it's my privilege to introduce our next guest speaker, General Timothy Haugh, United States Air Force. He is the Commander, United States Cyber Command, Director, National Security Agency, and Chief of Central Security Service. He's got 3 jobs. It's a lot, right? With a remarkable career spanning over 3 decades, General Haugh has demonstrated leadership and expertise at every level, from squadron to joint force, and has served on staffs at Major Command, at the agency level, and Combatant Command Headquarters. We are fortunate to have General Haugh share his expertise and insights on the critical importance of a highly skilled and adaptable cyber workforce to win in this battle space. Please join me in extending a very warm welcome to General Timothy Haugh.
All right, good afternoon. It's a pleasure to be here. I have accepted the challenge of being your first speaker after lunch. I'd like to start off by first thanking DoD CIO Ms. Katie Arrington, the Principal Deputy CIO Ms. Beavers, National Defense University President Admiral Garvin, and AFCEA International President Lieutenant General Lawrence Retired, and the Board of Directors for hosting this inaugural Cyber Workforce Summit. For more than 70 years, AFCEA has supported the U.S. government and the intelligence community by strengthening public-private partnerships, bringing leaders and stakeholders together to collaborate and underpin our national security objectives while helping keep our nation safe. Today's gathering represents another tremendous opportunity to discuss the critical national security challenges facing our nation. I'm also excited that you've already had the opportunity that, in addition to hearing from Ms. Arrington, you were able to hear from ASD Ashley Manning and Paul Stanton, incredible teammates as we work together across the challenges of cyberspace. Perhaps the most pressing of issues is the rapid rise of complex and sophisticated cyber threats, and the necessity on the part of our nation to rise to the occasion and meet the challenges that the future of cyber warfare presents. The President has given us a clear mission to achieve peace through strength as we face one of our most dangerous security environments in our nation's history, which includes the threats that we face in cyberspace. Our priority is to remain the strongest and most lethal cyber force in the world, one that includes a continued commitment to a resilient U.S. homeland protected against destructive cyber attacks. We will revive the warrior ethos and restore trust in our military as we fight our adversaries in the cyber domain. We will rebuild our military by matching threats to capabilities, which includes reviving our defense industrial base and rapidly fielding emerging technologies. And finally, we will reestablish deterrence by defending our homeland through collaboration with our allies, with our partners, and with our industry teammates. The United States has a long history of responding to critical security situations with exceptional speed and success. But the changing nature of warfare has altered our calculus. We can no longer afford ourselves the conceit that geography and distance will provide us sufficient time and space to respond to foreign aggression. Emerging cyber-related technologies, including artificial intelligence, represents a similar leap in the transformation of the battlefield for our national security. Continual deterrence of cyber aggression and the defense of our homeland demands a fundamental shift in how we respond to external threats. It requires matching threats to capabilities, including revitalizing the defense industrial base and rapidly fielding emerging technologies by leveraging the unique attributes of all of our teammates across the country and throughout the globe. This includes collaboration within the Department of Defense and the intelligence community. It also includes other departments and agencies across the U.S. government, and also critically with our foreign partners and our allies. And central to the work that we do is academia and, of course, industry, which creates our man-made domain. Strategic partnerships deliver critical advantage, and these partnerships allow us to do incredible things on behalf of the nation. The partnership between NSA, Cyber Command, and DoD CIO is a foundational one and a priority for me. I'm pleased in how closely we are aligned, which I'm sure you heard earlier this morning from Katie Arrington. Fortunately, for the United States, we are poised to succeed given our many competitive advantages, at the forefront of which is the collaboration between industry, academia, and the intelligence community. This teamwork is the backbone of our whole nation response to our most consequential adversaries. These adversaries don't respect borders or authorities, so partnerships are critical. They are not just targeting our military or the government, they are targeting private companies, big and small, and our critical infrastructure. As we encounter sophisticated global threats, we must leverage our inherent national strengths and rapidly expand the overall use of emerging technology, including AI. Our adversaries are using AI scale, speed, interactivity, and agentic capabilities to advance their national interests and the businesses of crime and influence. Generative AI poses a new challenge for us, the need to rapidly scale our compute capacity. We have to focus more energy on innovation and harness the transformative power of generative AI to ensure advancements in AI contribute positively to our mission success. This must be underpinned by advancement in compute. My challenge today is directed at our country's chief information officers, who are responsible for ensuring the cybersecurity of their respective organizations. I encourage these leaders everywhere to consider how the warfighter uses cyber, and to take advantage of that information in their efforts to provide the best possible cyber capabilities. Make no mistake, cyber's on the battlefield today. Nation-state adversaries are constantly evolving their cyber capabilities to undermine U.S. superiority. As a CIO, you are not managing IT. You are safeguarding national security. This effort demands operational integrity. The effectiveness of military operations heavily relies on the integrity, confidentiality, and availability of our information systems. CIOs are pivotal, ensuring that these systems are robust, resilient, and secure. It means treating innovation as a weapon. Investing in cutting-edge technologies such as AI, machine learning, and the advanced analytics that are required can provide a significant tactical advantage. Approach your actions through the lens of resiliency and recovery. Preparedness for the inevitable cyber incident is crucial for minimizing disruption and maintaining operational continuity. Lastly, act through data-driven decisions. The ability to quickly process and act on data can be a game changer in both defensive and offensive operations. The past half-decade has seen NSA shift the way it does business when it comes to cybersecurity, a deliberate course that enables CIO outcomes. It began with the creation of our Cybersecurity Directorate, aimed at unifying the agency's foreign intelligence and cyber defense missions with a focus on protecting the defense industrial base and our national security systems. From that spawned our Cybersecurity Collaboration Center, or CCC, to create an unclassified space where we work closely with our partners to scale intelligence-driven cybersecurity through open collaborative partnerships. It's also led to the AI Security Center, where we promote the secure development, integration, and adoption of AI capabilities within U.S. national security systems and the defense industrial base. During that span, we've also shifted how we work. The last 5 years have seen our cyber workforce evolve their operations in the spirit of collaboration. We now move seamlessly between classified and unclassified networks, generating unprecedented collaboration with our DIB partners. We must sustain a qualitative edge in cyberspace, and we accomplish that through our partnerships and through our innovation. It's more than just information sharing. We need to learn from each other, work closer with one another, evolve together, and at the end of the day, deliver outcomes together. A critical part of this solution to the cyber challenge is evolving our partnerships in both the public and private arenas to act as force multipliers in the research, development, security, and operationalization of our emerging technologies. As we work across the department, within the government and the intelligence community, with industry and with academia, it is important that our partnerships and technologies work together rapidly and effectively in times of competition, crisis, or conflict. The question is, how do we campaign together? At NSA, we stood up the Cybersecurity Collaboration Center to create a space where we could work closely with our partners, scaling intelligence-driven cybersecurity through open collaborative partnerships that do a number of things. First, close critical intelligence gaps by understanding different government and industry perspectives. Second, allowing us to scale the defense and security of the defense industrial base. And finally, as we counter adversary aggression, intellectual property theft, and other evolving threats, we do that in a proactive and cooperative way. Today, the CCC is approaching 1,500 partnerships with small and large businesses that have a real impact on our national security. We're seeing how these partnerships allow us to scale, to understand the threat better, and to move the conversation from thinking about the threat to doing something about it. Many will ask, we've said that partnerships are the key for a long time. How is this different? From my perspective, our ability to now collaborate at the unclassified level changes our ability to move at speed and scale. We share unique information with the Department of Homeland Security and FBI, enabling them to counter foreign cyber disinformation and ensure U.S. election systems are secure. Successful missions include the response to Chinese state-sponsored malicious cyber actors and their exploitation of vulnerabilities in Microsoft Exchange servers, combating ransomware threats like those affecting Colonial Pipeline, JBS, and Kaseya. Collaboration is a critical part of our cyber strategy and key to understanding and countering adversarial threat activity. A threat to one partner is a threat to all. As you know, cybersecurity is rapidly changing. When determining the requirements for your cybersecurity workforce, it's important to assess your workforce's capabilities, organize and manage your workforce, and prepare your workforce for changing cybersecurity needs. For Cyber Command, we're achieving those requirements with Cyber Command 2.0. A special thank you to Ms. Arrington, who's been really a strong supporter for us, and also really tightly linked to the leadership of ASD Manning as we navigate Cyber Command 2.0. What we see now as Cyber Command 2.0 is the command's effort to build domain mastery to achieve a competitive advantage in the cyber domain. Through these efforts, we will be enhancing total force readiness and our innovation. The revised total force generation model for cyberspace operations creates a more capable and agile total force to counter current and future cyber threats. In coordination with the services, our focus is to recruit military members from across the department, potentially reclassifying personnel from one career field to another. The revised cyber force generation model will be bolstered by three key enablers. A talent management organization, which aims to identify, recruit, and retain highly skilled cyber professionals. Second, an advanced cyber training and education center, which addresses rapidly developing and delivering advanced training. And third, the Cyber Innovation and Warfare Center, which fosters cutting-edge advancements in technology against the most challenging cyber targets. On the NSA side of the house, NSA's relationship with academia is vital to the success of the cyber mission. In accordance with the Department of Defense and with DoD CIO guidance, NSA partners with nearly 700 academic institutions, of which more than 400 are members of the National Centers for Academic Excellence in Cybersecurity, a program that creates and manages collaborative cybersecurity educational programs with community colleges, and universities. NSA has also successfully audited personnel experience against the department's cyber workforce framework and against the knowledge, skills, and abilities. By evaluating and documenting experience against published DCWF standards, NSA has successfully qualified personnel using their work experience. And through the sharing of new ideas, new methods, and new solutions, we can achieve the acceleration and agility needed to prevail in the age of an accelerated innovation. When directed at our nation's strategic and tactical objectives, it can lead to tremendous advantage in a dynamic threat environment. I've often said that Cyber Command and NSA workforces are our competitive advantage. Every day when I go home, I tell my bride Sherry that I have the best job in the U.S. government. That's because of the talented people who I get to serve with in both organizations. They are experts who come to work every day to tackle our nation's most difficult challenges. Together, it's a unity of effort built to defend America. Our ability to bring varied individual experiences and perspectives together in a unified way is what allows us to do just that. It's especially true as we aim to excel in cybersecurity, where advanced technology is changing the playing field day in and day out. Today's generation thinks differently about their careers. When I joined the Air Force, the expectation was often that we'd serve until retirement. We must be comfortable with people entering into public service, departing for opportunities in the private sector, and then returning again, bringing with them newfound knowledge and experiences that can greatly impact our mission like never before. At the command in the agency, we align multiple work roles to the department's cyber workforce framework, which provide a connection and a commonality for our workforce. The variety of workforce enables the ability to move laterally within a given specialty or to target self-development for specific areas. By providing individuals the ability to forecast their career roadmap and maintain technical proficiency, Cyber Command and NSA gain the aptitude to move swiftly across to allow our cyber workforces to adapt to a rapid and ever-changing landscape. Thanks again for everyone who helped to plan and execute this summit so that we can have the discussions in an open and engaging way. As with everything we do for success, it relies on our talented people, a commitment of leadership, and the effective collaboration and collective effort across a wide spectrum of partners. To maintain our dominance in the cyber domain, it is crucial that we recognize the necessity for deliberate and rapid change. We can effectively contest adversaries, tackle new challenges, and harness the transformative power of new technologies for the advancement of our national security. It is my pleasure to be able to now take your questions.
All right, team, you know the drill. So we have microphones left stage and right stage. So if you'd go ahead and queue up, tell us your name, tell us your organization, and please ask the general your question. Sir, you're first.
Thank you, General. This is Ram Dantu from University of North Texas. I have a couple of things to comments and questions. This is a great talk. One thing that caught my is a threat on one partner is a threat to all. That's what you said. That's really, really correct, I think. One thing that is actually problem with the collaborating the industry is that we have industry, a lot of incidents happening. They are really afraid to share with the government. Government needs this because 80% of this critical infrastructure is in the hands of the industry, private, I mean. So how can we do this private-public partnership more effectively, anonymize the whole thing, whatever incidents happening, and all the traffic from one partner to another partner, we have to anonymize so that they have no fear. I mean, I'm to be honest, that a lot of small companies and big companies even, they are afraid, right, to share the incident. So we have to detect the incident and make sure that it is kind of collaborated, and actually we know that it is spreading or whatever is happening, we should know that. So effective collaboration between private and public partnership is very important for us to combat the adversaries, I think.
I completely agree with you. I think from our perspective, it's about trust, and it's also about value. From a government perspective, what we want to be able to do is provide value in that discussion. In terms of that collaboration, how do we bring what we uniquely know in the government to be able to enable a collaboration with industry that allows them to defend what is the infrastructure of the United States, and in many cases, the infrastructure of our allies. So when we think about that, let me give you examples of where I think it has worked exceptionally well. When we look back to the summer of 23 and the work that went on around Volt Typhoon, as we started to discover the living off the land, the first report that we did across the U.S. government was done with 13 industry partners. So the exposure of what Volt Typhoon was, how they were operating, what their trade craft was, the methodology that would allow for threat hunting, that work done collaboratively with industry based off what did the government uniquely know, what did only industry know within those activities within the United States that could then be brought together and then shared globally unclassified. That's based off trust, and it's based off collaboration. So we know we can do this, and we know we can do it in very consequential ways.
One issue there, actually. Yeah.
I'm sorry?
Scale.
100%. That is that the issue is it's got to be about speed and scale. Now, from our perspective in NSA and Cyber Command, we are different from a government perspective. We don't do regulation. We don't do law enforcement. What we want to be able to do is provide value, and getting back at the Secretary's priority. We need the DIB to be successful in everything they do to enable the department, the generation of capability across all domains. That's in our department's interest. We've been empowered in collaboration with the DCIO to deliver services to the DIB, whether that be protective DNS, scanning of their networks, identification of vulnerabilities. We're experimenting with a number of other services. That's where we want to provide value back to be able to enable that collaboration. And so I think the areas that your question is really around, how do we scale? And I think there's two different things. One, we have to continue to be able to grow in terms of how quickly we can share information at the unclassified level. The second component is we also need industry to trust each other. The collaboration that is a shared space of vulnerability, and inside the forums that we enable, we would like to be able to see increasing collaboration across the industry. We've been very successful at doing that in industry segments, but the shared set of threats certainly span multiple industry segments. So this is the test, and that's one of the things that I think that we should ultimately be graded upon is how fast we can continue to scale, because we know this is absolutely essential. So let's now take your question and let's take it in a different context. So today we're talking about what the threat environment looks like today. What does the threat environment look like in crisis? And if we start to think about our pacing challenge and our pacing adversary in China, how do they view U.S. industry in a crisis or a conflict? That looks very different. And we can't be learning how to scale in crisis and conflict. It's got to occur today. And so I think that's the imperative I've been given by the Secretary, and it's our intent to be able to be the best partner that we can be to be able to drive that scale so that we're prepared for competition, crisis, or conflict. Thank you.
Thank you.
Super. Stage right. Sir,
Yeah.
your question.
Brian Marcus. So I've done OCO, DCO operations and training for the last 20 plus years, and I've had the uncomfortable experience of seeing us hemorrhaging really good talent out of a lot of different places, and sometimes they're just in the wrong work role. I had, for example, a Navy electronics technician who was probably one of the best hackers that I've ever seen tell me, yeah, I'm going to be getting out now because I can't actually do any hacking. And so I sent an email to a bunch of 1 through 4 stars saying Navy hacker needs a new home. And fortunately, somebody at the Pentagon answered and like, okay, let's figure this out. And they put him into actual operations. And what I'm now seeing is that same individual who had to change from a chief over to an O to be able to do the things that he was doing is coming up to a point where if he promotes, he can no longer do hands-on keyboard. And my question to you is, what are your thoughts on changing the process on promotions of cyber operators so they can stay proficient hands-on keyboard yet still gain rank?
Yeah, I think this is exactly where we want to go. In terms of when we were asked by Congress to go study what the force generation model looks like for cyberspace in the department, and what we ultimately concluded was that the soft model provides a good foundation for us to build a cyber unique model. Because within the soft enterprise, normally what will occur, you are assessed into that enterprise. And once you join the special operations community, you are then talent managed in collaboration between the soft enterprise and your service. And the ability then for soft to have a greater influence for using that set of talents based off that individual's skills and abilities. They stay largely within soft throughout their career. unless there's an opportunity for them to go out for professional development, but they will come back if they're exceptional and viewed that way through the community. That model around how you handle a highly talented, low density career field, there's a lot of foundational components that we've already done within the department. And that's what we believe we need to be able to do within cyber. And so I'm asking for greater talent management authority for segments of that workforce. In the law, what Congress has already said, in the building of U.S. Cyber Command, in Section 167 Bravo in the law, it says the commander of U.S. Cyber Command shall coordinate assignments, retention, and promotion. So, so Congress has envisioned this. Now we need to determine what's the most appropriate way to implement things like that in the department. Because the services are a partner. They have helped us increase our readiness, and we have done, over the last 3 years, a significant upgunning in our overall readiness of our force. We want to get that to the level of mastery. And you do that by staying in the mission space. We know that. The scenario you described is the one that we know helps produce the outcome towards mastery, is the amount of time in the mission and the role that you play throughout is what's going to drive that mastery. So that's about our talent, it's about how we train it, and it's how we equip it, and each individual, and make them as capable as they can be. So completely agree with what you're describing, and I think we see the path to that based off the strong support that we're getting in the department.
Sure. Good afternoon, General. Thanks for coming. My name is Joseph Schaefer, and I'm a professor at your Cyber War College, the NDU's College of Information and Cyberspace. Ooh.
Aim high.
Ooh. Okay, good point. Bad advice when the bad guys are coming under the wire to aim high, but aside from that, Paul Stanton made an impassioned statements about the need for technical knowledge. Competence is what he called it. So much so that Ashley Manning said she needed to go and learn some Python. The question is, how much technical knowledge do you think our graduates need about the cyber domain?
It really depends on what the role is going to be. Everyone in the national security community has to have a familiarization with how to integrate artificial intelligence into their operational activities. I think that's going to be a pass-fail criteria across the department. And as we think about it, because at this point, what we have now seen, so I'm just going to do a little tangent, but when we think about artificial intelligence and the opportunity space that exists, the idea now that we're going to have a significant advantage in terms of what we can do as a nation is really going to be determined by how fast we can implement it within the national security community. Like, we're seeing advancements in this industry that is just incredible with the investment that's being made in our ability to leverage generative AI. We've also seen China's advancements in generative AI. The contest is, how fast can we implement in the most effective, safe, and secure way that allows us to extend our ability, become more lethal, and to restore deterrence. So graduates at every level have to be able to be, one, conversant, understand where they need to make investments in the appropriate types of technical investments and the underpinning technology that will allow those organizations to be able to now be successful. And we see this through different pockets across the department in all domains. Those leaders that have really adopted the technology and can understand and drive are having great effect. And their organizations have enabling leaders that are within these areas, both within cyber and the ability to also to turn things into decision tools and to be able to do that in an aggressive way. Those organizations are moving faster. And so we need that across the department. So your graduates have to be able to land right in the middle of that conversation and answer the question of, where do we have risk? How do we integrate new technology? How quickly do we do that? And there's going to have to be a technical underpinning to be able to do that well. And so that I think is really our test, is that, like, when I go today, I'm going to give you a little tangent. one of the coolest parts of my job is the partnerships that we do between CIO and NSA and Cyber Command with academia. And so when I go out today and I talk to university presidents, they have one of the hardest jobs in the world, right? They are balancing a whole series of things of where do they put big bets on technology. Like they're trying to decide, am I going to bet in semiconductor technology, quantum, large scale compute? These are, multi-billion-dollar investments. And then you go talk to the instructors that you're living with, that they start the beginning of a semester with one generative AI model, and by the end of the semester, it's already revved twice. And so what does that do to your curriculum? These are the challenges that are in front of us. And as a Department of Defense, we can't use our old processes, right? We have to be aggressive all the way through how we think about the implementation, how we think about the security, and how we think about the integration. And so your graduates are critically important to that.
Hi, sir. My name is Steve Bilbo. I work for a company called GovPlace, small business. My question, the solid success around the CCCC and the investment in the DCWF have been instrumental to the services. Could you speak on how our current political climate might be adjusting your organizations or influencing the direction being provided to the services?
I certainly don't think of that as a political climate. I think I've got very clear direction from the Secretary of Defense as to what he wants to achieve, and that's going to drive us to meet those expectations. So from the guidance that I have in terms of being very aggressive and accelerating where we are in Cyber Command 2.0 is an indicator of that, of where cyber fits in the department and what we need to be able to do in terms of an expectation in how we secure our networks and then also how we deliver options to all of our policymakers. So I think from that perspective, we've got very clear guidance. The other things that I think as the Secretary has told us, he wants to be leaner and he wants to be meaner. And in there, that means what are the core skills we need to be successful in the fight that's in front of us, right? That how do we organize the department to use the technologies that are available to us? How do we more quickly integrate them? And I think what we're seeing in our dialogue with the services is a clear recognition that of where the cyber workforce fits in the importance of being able to do every one of those things. Whether it's about generating decision advantage, whether it's about generating options, it's about how we think about secure networks and transport in various different environments. Each of those requires expertise, and it also requires a focused investment that will make us more lethal. So I think we've gotten very clear guidance, and we're all moving out on that. And now, because we're implementing very aggressively, we got to make sure we're all aligned. And I think we're doing a good job of that. I think you've probably heard pretty consistent messages from Katie and from Ashley and Paul today in terms of the approach. And I think our alignment as key organizations in the department, I think, are really helpful to make sure that we're all moving in the same direction.
Thank you, sir.
Great. Any last questions? Yes, sir. You've got time. Yeah, pop on over to the microphone. We've got time for you.
Going to ask a general question. So, I mean, it's not often we get an opportunity to speak to the leader in cyber for the DoD. So there's a great audience in here, academia, industry. What's your challenge to us? What one problem can we help you solve that maybe you haven't said to us yet, or maybe you have?
So if you want to go if we want to go down a layer of detail, right? Paul Stanton and the vision, the charge that we've given to Paul, which is really to posture us to be able to fight through any scenario that could be in front of us, whether that be things that will emerge today in terms of protecting our networks, our intellectual property, or towards conflict, are going to require us to think very differently. So inside one of the messages that were in there today was about resiliency and recovery. We don't think today in terms of recovery, of how we will fight through challenges. If we are in a heightened level of conflict or crisis, we would expect our communications and networks to be under threat. We've not yet organized ourselves to be able to acknowledge that there will be times, particularly as we extend our networks, that they will become more vulnerable. Now, how do we make them resilient? And also, how do we think about recovery if one of those extended networks that are likely crucial to the outcome are now compromised? Which they would be our most vulnerable element farther that was really have to be most resilient and defended at the tactical level. We have to be thinking about reconstitution in different ways than we have in the past. So Paul's thinking his way through, what does that look like from our core infrastructure perspective to make us more resilient as we extend? And then what technologies do we need to have, and how do we share the appropriate data to be able to make that element best defended? So once we start to extend our ConOps to be thinking through various scenarios, and now bringing in the lessons learned from what conflict has looked like over the last 3 years and informed by the investments our adversaries are making, we need to think differently about what it will look like. And I think part of that so I think that's one, a whole version of how we think about forward enclaves and making sure their availability. The second part of that is what we touched on earlier, which is what does the collaboration look like with industry when industry is treated like a belligerent on the battlefield? We've seen that happen in Russia-Ukraine, where Western industry became the target as part of the conflict. What does that look like in some sort of crisis that the United States might have in the future? We've got to think differently about how we approach that collaboration with industry when industry becomes the target, and when that is in a pass-fail criterion for our national security. How do we collaborate together? How do we work together? And how do we ensure that we're successful? So I think those are two big broad bins when we think about technology. And I think our final one is, how do we look at areas? We know within the department there will be areas that will bring tech debt with them. And it's the nature of just as we turn over large investments across our IT portfolios, there will be areas we're going to have tech debt that emerge. How do we think about defending those areas? And how do we think about the best use of our data that allows us to be able to identify those once we would identify it as something that now brings increased vulnerability? And then how do we use the data and analytics to be able to then buy down that risk in real time? Those are areas that I think that Paul and his team are really thinking through, which enables both the partnership with whoever is our service provider, our partnership with the individual combatant element that would be on the farthest edge, but ultimately it comes back to situational awareness and the use of our data. So those are kind of three broad bins that I would give you.
I think we can take one last question. Over to you, sir.
Hello, General. Good afternoon. A theme that we've heard a lot today, just walking the hallways and chatting with folks, is the need to shift and change and attract more younger individuals with a cyber background, or those to even learn cyber skills necessary to bring into the organizations here at DoD. So a question to you is, how do you envision that in terms of attracting younger talent, retaining them, giving them space to grow, and frankly shifting some of the brand perception as you also have to compete with private industry as well for the same talent? Would love to hear more about that.
So and from our perspective, some of the things we can offer are some of the most fun jobs in the world. I mean, there is no doubt that we empower people to do things that they can only do within the Department of Defense, and do it for a very consequential series of reasons. So that's our start point, right? Offering unique technical challenges and hard problems that are going to be very unique to the government, but we also offer the opportunity to partner with industry, partner with other really talented people to solve hard problems. Inside of the National Security Agency, one of our core values is solving unsolvable problems. We welcome the opportunity to be given really hard technical challenges that others believe can't be solved, and then bringing the talent to bear to solve them, and to be able to do that on behalf of your nation. So that's our start point from an NSA perspective. From a cyber command standpoint, in most cases, it's more about retaining our talent, because the services are doing an exceptional job of bringing us talent, and we want to make sure that they stay and be able to operate at the highest levels. And part of our code is we go where others cannot. There are unique missions that only can be done in U.S. Cyber Command. And so as part of that, and once people are inside and are able to do that work, they get excited about it. They get to go represent their nation with our allies, and they get to do things that is really technically challenging, and to do it, and you can see the impact that you have in support of another combatant command or in support of our nation, and be able to produce outcomes. That's our start point. Everyone, when they come in government, then must be led well. We invest a lot of time in our leadership training, because ultimately that first line supervisor makes the difference. They're the person that makes sure the individual gets trained. They make sure that person understands what their responsibilities are. But then most importantly, they understand, they allow the individual to understand where they fit in their important role within the organization, within the Department of Defense, and within our nation. And that is unique. We can do that. We can do it well. And we can give incredible opportunities. And then we're doing some really, and I think we're getting strong support from Congress that is also allowing us to reward our technical talent that stays with us. And so I think we've got a lot of great opportunities, support from Congress. We've got strong support within the department, and we've got really consequential work to do. Awesome. Thank you all very much. Have an absolutely wonderful day.